Good evening, and good evening.
Good
Welcome to
evening.
the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. Woohoo! We're back to season 5. This is our first night back, and we're starting off with building out legacies. Because look, we only have a few capable months of this year, and we want to finish out strong. And tonight, I have my friend Sharon Parker, who is going to come tonight and just give us what she has going on. And it's going to be something valuable for you if you're looking into being remotely into your legacy. And I think, with so much going on in this era, with them trying to diminish our culture, with us not building our legacies, but we're going to come up with some tools and some resources here with my friend here, Miss Sharon. So, Miss Sharon, I would like to say welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I really, really appreciate you having me as your guest. I look forward to answering any questions about legacy you have for me and just enlightening your audience and just staying connected with what they have going on and what you have going on in the future as well.
All right, all right. So we're going to kick right on into it. So, for those of you who are tuning in, please like and share this video. We can be streamed here on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, and we're following on our Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. So, Sharon, can you give the audience just a little inkling about who you are and what you do?
Thank you. Yes, I can. I just like to start with I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom. I'm a mom and a grandmom first and foremost in everything I do. Titles does not impress me. I love community service. I love giving back to the community. So, with the mom and grandmom title, I am a government employee of 35 plus years, working at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I wear leadership hats for my history organization that you know of called ROSA, which means Remembering Our Ancestors Synergistic Association. I just got other titles that I don't want to talk about right now, but right now I'm a mom who love building connections, who love building synergy with professionals, connecting them with the next generation, but most importantly, having them look back at those in the past to look at how they overcame challenges to succeed in life and just become wonderful in all that they do for the community and their family.
When we first talked, we talked maybe like maybe like 6 or 5 years ago back when we talked about the history, because I'm here on the shore. And there
Mm,
is so much history here. Actually, today I just represented to go see the Harriet Tubman statue
awesome.
on the courthouse. I mean, and I've seen it, but my father is here from California, and he never saw it. So,
Mm.
and he actually got emotional about that, because we take it for granted when we talk about the history. For even when my adoptive parents, they worked on a you might as well say a slave house, which is
Plantation, yeah.
modernized.
I understand.
Modernized, right? I mean, they work for a private family, um and a man, it was all farmland. But it took me till this big thing here on the shore about Frederick Douglass that came up, which, and I'm a part of the
Awesome.
board for that. It took me like 6 years just to really find out that he was actually literally someone at that residence where my father worked for years, that I played up as a little girl.
Wow.
Had no idea. So that's where we're saying about talking about things, and culturally that is very important that we know about that. So, Sharon, I want you to tell the audience, how did you get involved, and how did you come up with this ROSA idea?
Well, I tell you, it's a long story with how I came up with Rosa, and it wasn't me by myself. So I just want to make that clear. But how I got into history was due to the unfortunate fact that my mom passed away in 2010. And when she passed away, there were some unsettled property matters that had to be addressed in my family, in the country, land, as we talk about, in Calvary County, Maryland. Being the third of 12 siblings, the older passed away, the younger passed away. So I was caught right in between, 10 siblings. And the third one from the youngest, my family called on me because they said, "Hey, guess what? We need to figure this land out in our hometown of Calvert County, Maryland, and we need a personal representative. You have to be the personal representative. It has to be you." And I'm like, "Oh, no, it doesn't." Someone else better do it because I'm too busy working, living my life, trying to enjoy my life. I don't have time to deal with property. But no one wanted to sign off on being a personal representative, and I was forced into it. That yielded me to do a lot of research on my family history, which really, really got me involved with trying to understand who I was and where I came from. And like I say, it's a long story, but Rosa was birthed out of a friendship that I had with Sylvia Tremore Morrison, and still do have it, Dr. Grayel, and also a young lady who passed away. Her name is Sheba Akil. She passed away in 2014. But they came to my home here in Clinton, and they were like, we need to start an organization, and we need to come up with a name. And every one of us had some word to put in this name. So I think Sheba may have had remember. Ty Gray Air may have had ancestor. I had the word synergistic, and Dr. Sylvia may have had the word association. So we put it all together, remembering our ancestors, synergistic association. That year was 2007. We incorporated in 2008, and I have been pushing forward with that ever since. And it opened up so many doors over the last 15, 16 years. So I'm extremely happy that I took the path of wanting to learn about my family's history, which opened up the world for me to want to learn about history as a whole, as it relates to us being in America, people of color, knowing who they are, where they came from, and most importantly, where are we going?
Exactly. And it's similar. It's similar to what happened with my adopted parents, my mom and her sisters, and it was that air property stuff, right?
Yeah,
Nobody wanted to take a claim of it. And then when you go to the courthouse, it's a lot of stipulations that you have to go through because again, and I always looked at it too, because that generation, gotta look at it, a lot of them didn't read or write. So
that's
it was
right.
just passed down in word. So
It was
that's some
passed down.
history that we got to take into account. But, when the documentation, this is just to learn, but who really does it belong to? Because we looked at
Exactly.
it family, hey, anybody can have this. But then you
That's
got
right.
that disruption that come along. Who wants to be in charge? Nobody wants to be in charge. But to keep it together, somebody has to put up and stand up to keep it, within the family legacy. So
Exactly.
I see a lot of that in our culture where we don't put things in writing. We assume, and then there's a big havoc where families get disrupted, disgruntled with one another over something that just could be very simple. So
Believe
I
me.
love the fact that you went on, took charge, even though you didn't want to. And that's what
Yeah,
happens. Sometimes we walk into things that we don't really want to, but then look at the blessing you don't have 15, 16 years later. So
absolutely.
sometimes we be pushed into stuff, and sometimes we be pushed into our legacies that we don't really realize, but then we understand it now.
Well, I tell you,
So
I was definitely pushed into my legacy. Okay, that was a major push, and you're absolutely right. It was air property, still is air property. We were able to get the desired number of acres for my family out of it, and now we're in the process of trying to build on it or go through the county to go through the paperwork to get things built. But like you said, everything has to be put in writing. If you don't have a will, get a will now, not tomorrow. Now, you need a will, especially if you had air property.
yeah, it's very difficult. I know I've been down that road and saw what it done, and yeah,
Mm.
so we're talking on the same language. Make sure you get the stuff in documentation. I mean, hey, even if you have to go get it on a piece of paper and notarize it, that's something that can be used as a piece of what you need to take on. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, as we said, I've been following you for a while. You use those words ancestors and legacy, and you use about the synergy. And I
Mhm.
love the fact that you say those words because, again, it's very important about our ancestors. It's very important that we know about legacy. And it's very important that we know about synergy, because synergy is actually what something is used to bring things together. A community, a collaboration of resources. And I know I've been following you for a while. You done follow down from business resources. You done bring from authors. You done bring from different government officials and different things like that. So it's exciting to see how you moving and shaking. And
Thank
one
you.
of the things you said that I love the fact that you brought up about Sylvia Trans Morrison, that is history right there. And I did not know. And I was glad to be in a room at the Power of Shut Up at Lisa's to see
Yes,
her in her work and to hear how this woman of color is
yes,
actually the stage person for comedians, for
exactly.
stand-up comedians. And now she's getting her due
Yes.
service.
Well deserved. Well
Well
deserved.
deserved. And I
When
think
she
she's
wrote her
one.
first book, Almost There, Almost, she announced it here in my living room. And I'm like, girl, you just go out there and do it. And I tell you, she has not stopped. And she's one of the people that I like to follow, because when you have an organization, a history organization like ROSA, marketing is one-on-one. People have to know who you are and what you do and your mission and why you do what you do. And ROSA mission has always been clear. We want to empower all to remember the African American significance here in America and abroad, and most importantly, transfer that knowledge down to the next generation.
Yes, and I actually got her book, um, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm following her a lot. I'm like seeing how you got like Tommy Davidson, all of those type of people are like giving her the accolades. And I mean, this is someone who wrote scripts for the Saturday Night Live and different things like that that we have no idea. But now she's getting her due diligence, and that's what it talks about when your legacy, because that's what she was seeing. Now, and I've actually encouraged her because she was like, "Thank you so much, Michelle." I encouraged her when she was talking about Monique, how Monique
Mm.
them actually giving her due flowers and telling people. And I was like, you had just spoke that into I say, just take it and run with it now, because
Well,
that's just
we love her here in Maryland. She has gone national. Um, we're so honored here at Rosa that she was able to bless us with her presence and keep it real. She was like, Sharon, I'm pursuing my career, even though I'm still this first African American impressionist. I am going to keep on pushing. I'm going to write books. I'm going to make legacy a part of my journey. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to get on as many platforms I can possibly get on. And the people who helped me, I appreciate them. And that's what she's been doing. She has not stopped. She's been going full force from the day I met her back in 2007.
and that's what you just said, Key Sharon. I love that because you do. I do see you often always reach back and help someone else. And that's what it's all about. Even in this realm, I do always try to reach back and get somebody else. And I'm about to tear up myself just talking about it, because
Yes.
I have a young lady that's bringing up around. Two ladies this year, two ladies have asked me to be the mentor for
Great.
them. And I know it takes money to do everything, but sometimes I get rewarded just by sometimes I do it and look what they're doing. They're doing so much and they're helping me as well. But that's what we got to do.
Absolutely.
Reach back to someone else. So, let's go into the importance of building legacy. And like we said, we know we're in an era where they're just trying not to even tell us about our African American history. They're trying to take it out of the schools of learning. Well, you don't get it in school anyway, but because again, we don't, that's just something we don't get
Right.
in schools. So how can we advocate? Can you give the audience some tips? Because I know you have some.
I'm over here tickling, I'm smiling and finish asking the question. How can I give
Yes.
them some
So,
tips?
how can we, as a people, advocate? What are some tips and some things that we can do when it talks about building your legacy? Can you give a couple of them, and you can stay there for a while because I know how you feel about this topic. This is very a hot topic for you.
Yes. So let me just start by just saying that we don't need anyone to do anything for us anymore. Just like your platform, that's going to go national, probably even international, we're creating history right now. Okay, we already know that certain people, for whatever reason, are not going to, have our history in the books in the schools because of political reasons. Time is of the essence. We don't have time for, trying to convince someone to educate our community about who we are. It is up to each one of us to educate the next generation about who they are. And I'm not talking just African Americans. I'm talking people of color and non-people of color. It's up to us to get on different diverse platforms like we are doing and educate them about who we are, where we come from, and what our family had and still have today. So that's one thing. If I can say, legacy means not ever forgetting. You brought up three words: remembering, you brought up legacy, and you brought up synergy. Remembering is so key because a lot of us get so overwhelmed with so much stuff that we're doing that we forget to open up the books ourselves, and we forget to open up those books, those crucial years when our babies are in that, and those formative years, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We forget to remind them all the time of who we are and where we came from. So my first tip for legacy building is the call to action for every professional adult out there, non-professional adult out there, sung heroes out there, every one of you all picking up a history book about someone of the past who overcame some of the same challenges that we're facing today, and inspire our young people to not to follow in anyone's negative footsteps. That's my call to action. That's how you start the mindset of legacy. Okay. The next thing is to understand legacy starts with you obtaining something of value. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have to work for something of value. We spend so much money on trinkets, until we don't invest in a home. We don't invest in paintings. We don't invest in our gift from God, whatever platforms that we have, like, being an inspirational speaker, being an author, being a coach, being a technician, whatever it is. Invest in developing your skills so that you can make money. Like my parents used to say, use your hands to make money. Yeah, we're going to always need that brain, but also use your hands. Find out what you're good at using your hands and make money. But most importantly, make it and don't spend it. Save it. Save it to invest in something of value. Synergy. Wow. Synergy, as you mentioned, just think of the aspen groves. Think of trees. Think of the roots in aspen, where roots from another root, the trees from each root depends on one another to grow. That's the same thing for us. We need to depend on one another for growth. We need to stop competing. We need to stop, being afraid to say, I want to help that person. I want to engage that person. I want to share what she's doing or what he's doing so that we can grow collectively. God has given us some powerful tools and jewels and legacy gifts. We're just so scattered with them all over the place, and we're not synergizing and bringing them together. Thanks for your wonderful podcast show, because this is an example of what synergy looks like. Okay, your title alone, Upfront Mindset Soul Season 5 Comeback, whatever. 5 comeback. Power of 5 is always important to me, and everybody knows that. So power of 5 means grace and power. You get that from God. Okay, God will connect you with the right person who He knows that you're going to help His mission, not yours. His. So legacy is about adding value in your life, your children's lives, your grandchildren's life, and the generations to come, to leave a positive impact in the world.
I know you're talking some good stuff right there. So we got a couple of things that I want to share, because number one, you have this major, huge 10-year anniversary that's coming up. So I'm loving it. I am loving the fact that you're putting this on and celebrating your 10. So we're going to show this.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Rosa's 10th annual Leading Within Conference, September 16th, here in Maryland at the Doubletree by the Hilton in Largo, Maryland. Guys, hey, like the flyer says, you can get your early bird tickets still. You can bring a youth 12 to 16 years old and you'll get in free. You can bring a youth 17 to 24, get half price, and just come out and just enjoy all of those. I'm telling you guys, you're going to meet some true legacy builders who's been out there for 10 or more years, and they've been really, really adding value. But you can't build that synergy unless you know who they are. You can't build that synergy until you get in the room and hear their story and find out how you can relate to them, because you just never know what resources they have that you can use for your home, your community, and also your 9 to 5.
So, audience, there is the website where you can go purchase your tickets. It's HTTPS ROSA 10th Annual ILWC.eventbrite.com. So that's where you can go. And there are also sponsorships that's available.
Absolutely.
Very available, because we know things like this we cannot do without sponsorships. So there is here where you can send a lovely donation, send millions of dollars. So we put that synergy out in
Put
the
that
air
synergy
that
out there.
a millionaire will find this, that wants to be a legacy builder will find this and reach into this. So I know that you have a few special MCs that's going to be in the house. One of
Yes.
my favorites.
Yes.
Can you share?
Absolutely. So God has blessed us to have Lisa Dove Washington from Dove Style Magazine. She was the first MC at Rosa's conference back in 2013 at the LaFont Plaza Hotel. You know where the Benjamin Banneker Park is, right? In Southwest. She was the first MC to come out and just, help Rosa launch that first conference. And then I'm telling you, she has stuck with us ever since. Every year she has been in the house, being the MC, sharing our themes, growing our platform. And I just want to thank her. She also has a co-MC this year. So she's co-MCing with no other than Prince Dejour from Magic 102.3 FM radio, who was also on her summit, on her panel summit for the Power of Shut Up. To have those two legacy builders in the room showing off, guys, are going to have a ball. They are going to feed off of one another and share some major, major history about Rosa. Our last 9 conferences, we didn't miss a year. We went every year, even through COVID. We did a virtual conference. So I look forward to just seeing them in their greatness, shining, and even sharing their story.
Yes, most definitely. Shout out to Prince Dejour and Lisa Dove. Some of the confidence that I know that I've collaborated with Lisa, with Dove Style Magazine as well. So I know it's going to be a real special treat, real special treat. And again, audience, this is a way to collaborate. This is a way to get your network, to get your net worth. So these are some possibilities are in the room. You know what, Sharon? A couple weeks ago, and this is something that I can put out there for anyone who's looking to enter a room. And you know how sometimes we be kind of fearful because we don't
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what, but I always say there's a destiny at wait. So I'm going to put this out to those, that synergy,
Yes.
that synergy out. So when you go to this event, or I want you to go to this event, but any other event, I want you to remember these quotes. And this is something positive, because I'm all about affirmations. You know, I told you that. I'm all about affirmations, all of that. So when you go and you feel kind of fearful, I want you to, before you walk in, I want you to stretch yourself in there. And I just want you to put in your mindset and say, I'm at the right place. I'm at the right time. I'm with the right people. This the space is a hell to wait for my destiny.
I love it. That is so powerful. I tell you, I just want to share some of the speakers who are going to be there. But I want to say, guys, this is a year of celebration. We have gone through a lot. We've made it out of COVID. I know some of our families are still struggling because you just never know each household how they have been affected behind COVID. So I'm praying for those who have lost someone. I definitely want to share that. ROSA is always about telling your story and helping as much as we can. I do want to, before I go into the names of who's going to be there, I don't want people to forget how significant this year is. When Michelle said, okay, you're in the right place at the right time. Guys, this is the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington this year. This past Monday, which was August the 28th, was the official day of the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. People from all over the country came into Washington, D.C. to remember, the I guess, pledge of what our ancestors left behind, especially Dr. Martin Luther King, his wife, Dr. Dorothy Height, and all of those who worked together collectively to add value and make life a little better for the next generation during that civil rights movement. So understand, anything happening this year of legacy building, of history, you definitely need to be in the room. As you know, I'm not about politics, but next year is an important year for us, 2024. And I'll just stop it and leave that one right there. You know what I'm talking about, okay? So let's just talk about a couple of the speakers, or a few of them actually. The first one is our keynote speaker, Dr. Stephanie Myers. She is the author of the book, The Invisible Queen. Guys, you already know about Bridgerton, right? And you already know that they talk about a queen being over in England that did not get into the history books, but yet they having money and they can making all these millions and trillions of dollars off of movies. Well, Dr. Stephanie Myers, look forward to sharing her book with us about how she believes and knows without a shadow of a doubt that there was a queen of England in color, and she wants to share that. So she's going to be sharing that story with us. She's going to bring along one of our original speakers, Dr. Barbara Reynolds, who's a dear friend of hers. I think they have an organization called Positive Women of Change, and she's going to be joining her. And Dr. Barbara is going to get recognized as a legacy level up more honoree because, again, like Lisa, she was one of the first to attend ROSA's annual conference. We're going to have Miss Lisa Cohen. If you all don't know her, you need to get to know her. Google her name. And we're talking about the next generation. We're talking about the president of the DC Rotary of Washington, D.C. Okay. We're talking about someone that's going to be in the room that knows about synergy, that knows about telling your legacy stories. We're going to have so many others. We're going to, and I don't want to share everything now, but I just want to shout out Dr. Teresa Mosley, who not only is going to be a speaker, but she's a sponsor. I want to shout out Dr. Arlene Spann, who's a sponsor, Pamela Reeve, who's a sponsor, Dr. Ife Williams, who's going to be coming, who was also one of the first speakers at ROSA's conference, Dr. Jean Howard Hill. I mean, so many. Tanya Johnson, who's a youth who was the first speaker, who now is a director at Hopkins University. I do not want to forget about our vendors. I also want to talk about Tanya. I think her last name is Johnson as well. She was the first one to sign up to be a vendor. And I told her I would always give her a shout out because I was so impressed with her. She's handicapped, but guys, I tell you, this is what ROSA is all about. We do not ever judge people. We want to open up opportunities for everyone to come together. And we, again, are going to be celebrating as we work together to share our story, to uplift the next generation, and most importantly, to pull those strings together where we can learn about our history while making this world a better place, because we need it more now than ever, how we need to add more value in society today.
Well, Sharon, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And as you can see, audience, this is what the theme is. Your next legacy destination. Level up. MORE, which is the acronym for making opportunity reachable for everyone. Now, Sharon also she has something that's going to be going on in January, and you will have to follow her. to get more information and more details. Can you tell the audience about what's going to be happening in January?
So I like to always ask, I mean, my profession is project management. And one thing about project management, it teaches you really to lead people and manage people, engage people, and celebrate people. So this is our first destination conference. On September 16th is our pre-conference. The official conference, which I'm calling a retreat, is going to be held in Puerto Rico on January 12th through the 15th, 2024. That's right. We're going to celebrate those legacy authors, those legacy vendors, those legacy building VIP sponsors. We're going to be talking about turning your mission into and creating legacy platforms for your mission. And you're going to share with us how you've been able to pivot, through some uncertain times while we celebrate, enjoy the wonderful festivities and the weather, and just engage and love on one another, engage one another. So I'm excited that this will be our first legacy destination trip.
All right, you done heard it. You have heard it here on Upfront My Body and Soul. I think, is that your first time announcing it?
It's my first time announcing it on your show, but we've been putting it out there. I have a podcast show called, the Sharon Lee Briefing Podcast Show. So we've been promoting, this conference, the 10th annual, for, at least a year. But in the last few months, it's like, we're not, everyone in the world, if you can follow me on my platforms, we're talking about it.
Yes. Well, again, Sharon, I thank you so much. And listen, audience, here you go. One more time. You can level yourself up and level up if you want more here for the ROASA conference on September the 16th. It is going to be held right here in Maryland. And we look, people always say you always got to go across where to get it. Well, you got to go and get it if you want to.
There you go. And I would like to leave my contact information as well. So, they can reach me at Sharon Leading Within on Instagram. So it's Sharon_leading_within. I brand myself based on my book, True Synergy Work, Leading Within, the 7 defining principles of knowing yourself to birth greatness. You can also contact me at Sharon at themakingofyou.com. So that's Sharon at themakingofyou.com. Just look for me on Facebook, Sharon Parker. Go to our website. We have a website called www.ROASA as in Victor es.org. That's rosalives.org. And you'll find out all the information you need to find.
All right, audience, you have heard it here. And Sharon, I want to say thank you so much for coming upon us tonight. Sharing all what you do, and we thank you for what you do. And we thank you for sharing this space with us. We thank you, and we'll welcome you here anytime. And for the audience, this year, I'm not leaving out without the mantra. As you know, there's so much love that is needed in this world. But just know, if you don't feel like you love, just know that you are loved here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul Show. Until next week, stay blessed. Look, keep it moving, keep the good synergy rolling, and collaborate and appreciate and just be thankful. You don't have to have the huge stuff to be thankful for, but you just be thankful in the small things. Until next week, I'm your host, Michelle Bolden Hammond, here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul.